Hello YouTube, I'm going to be doing a deck profile, but my custom deck that I've created. Just so you know, you may not realize, for those who are familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh! With the forbidden list and the ban list, you actually can limit, semi-limit, ban your cards while making them. This is going to be a first, so whether definitely you guys can be able to share your opinions. Want you to be able to join, and I want to show you the results and how this deck works, and maybe you can give it a try for anybody who's on Dueling Books. So let us proceed here. Obviously we're maxing out on 3 Ash Blossom because the card is a complete can be a complete blowout towards the opponent, being able to stop them from adding cards or moving cards from the deck, and can be clutch later in the game. So for our first EDP445 card, we're going to be playing Cold Raven Dungeon Worm 445. If you can see by his ability, weakens your opponent's monsters by 300 for each monster with 1300 attack or defense. It has a quick effect, can be able to special summon itself if there's a monster with 1300 attack or defense points. And when this card is normal, special summon, you can target and destroy spell and trap cards up to the number of monsters with 1300 attack and or defense on the field, and if destroyed you can add Universe 4 or 5 from your grave to the hand. Another 4 for 5 card we're going to be including is the Cupcake Boy, the 13th. Allows you to add our belly from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and except the turn is sent to the graveyard, you contribute one monster special summons card from your hand. We're maxing on Eagle Eye 445. Allows you to special summon one monster with 1300 attack and or defense points from your hand except Eagle Eye, and you could pay 1300 to add 1 4 for 5 or 13 spell and trap card from your deck to your hand, and on top of being able to prevent your opponent from activating spell and trap cards as long as you tribute a monster. Here we're also maxing out on our belly. He is the boss monster of the deck and his opponent because he makes, by discarding a card, he can make all your opponent's monsters 1300 attack and defense. Another card we max out on for more consistency, Extra C, the alternate version of Max C. So you contribute, send this card for this face-up card from your field or from your hand to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. The last effect we don't really care too much, only if you're going to play Earth Insect archetype or deck that you might possibly decide to play later in the future, or anything that revolves around Extra C. So we're going to be maxing out on Nightmare Schoolboy 445. When it's normal special summon, you can add a monster with 1300 attack and or defense points from your deck to your hand except itself. Quick effect, you can banish one other monster with 1300 attack and or defense points from your field or grave if you do return the banished monster to your hand during your standby phase. And then except the turn, this card is sent to your graveyard and you can pay 1300 life points to special summon this card from your hand. So another EDP or another 4 for 5 monster we're playing is Rage Red Dungeon Dragon 445. This is the complete opposite of Cold Raven. It gains 300 for each other monster with 1300 attack and or 1300 defense points on the field. Quick effect, special summon itself when there's a monster with 1300 attack or defense points on the field. And then pretty much you can target and destroy monsters your opponent controls up to the number of monsters with 1300 attack and or defense points. And if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add 4 for 5 inner thoughts from your graveyard to your hand. So yeah, that's how the card works. We're going to include Spawn of Satan, maxing out, and he's very powerful. He's basically a alternate version of Nibiru. If your opponent controls 3 or more cards, including one monster 2500 or more attack points, you special summon it from your hand or grave. But if this card is special summoned from the grave, it must be banished when it leaves the field. But it's other unique abilities that if it's normal or special summon, You can destroy 2 cards from your hand or field, send all monsters or spell trap cards your opponent controls to the graveyard, even if this card leaves the field. So one thing I forgot to mention about Worm 445, I made a mistake here. You add the field spell from your graveyard to hand, so that's Universe 445, and we'll get into it later. Street Dream Girl 445, card that we're maxing out, and the girl that EDP has been lusting over and trying to pursue. Her effect, when she's normal or special summoned, you can special summon 1 monster with 1300 attack and or defense points from your deck except Street Dream Girl 445. Quick effect, you contribute 1 other monster with 1300 attack and or defense points from your hand, or you control draw 1 card. Except the turn, same thing, pay 1300 special summon 1 monster from your with 1300 attack and or defense points from your graveyard. Your opponent cannot activate cards in response to this card's effect, and you can only use each effect once per turn. We're playing 4 for 5 Dark Fantasy because you have to. It's mandatory. You pay 4 for 5 life points. If you do draw 1 card, you can only summon monsters with 1300 attack and or defense points from your hand or deck. That's when you activate this effect. Another effect is you contribute 1 monster to gain control of 1 monster your opponent controls by the count deck directly. Bountiful Charity, which allows you to get 2 alternate draws. You draw 5 cards, you discard 3 cards from your hand. If your life points are 5,000 or more, then you take 1,000 points of damage. And its other effect is when it's in the grave, you can banish this card from your graveyard to draw cards equal to the number of cards in your graveyard plus 1 if you do. Discard cards from your hand equal to the number of cards in your graveyard for the rest of this turn, and you can't draw any cards when this card's effect resolves and once it's activated. We're playing the limited Chase for the Girl with 13th Cupcake. It allows you to retrieve Cupcake Boy from your deck to your hand. You special summon Girl Scout tokens during your main phase. Any number, but if it has 13 or more Cupcake candles, you destroy this card. Pot of Ultimatum, similar to Bountiful Charity. You draw 2 cards, but if your life points are 4,000 more, you take 2,000. And has another grave effect. During your draw phase, before you draw, you can banish a card from your grave, discard cards from your hand, so you have 3 or less cards in your hand. If possible, draw 2 cards, and then skip your next draw phase. And then when this card's effect resolves, you cannot draw any cards by any means. Terraforming to search our Universe 445, which we're maxing out on. When this card is normal or active, when this card is active, or when you normal summon a monster with 1300 attack and or defense points. You're gonna add 1 monster from your deck to your hand with 1300 attack and or defense points during your main phase. And then during your main phase, you can shuffle 1 monster from your grave to your deck whose attack and or defense points are 1300, gain life points equal to the shuffled monster attack or defense, your choice. If you do target, you can target 1 monster you control against 1300 attack and defense. So a very powerful field spell that you must max out on. Another card we're maxing out on is 445 Inner Thoughts, and this one pretty much similar, but it's a trap card. It has to do with the monster with 1300 attack and defense. When this card is activated, or when a monster with 1300 attack and defense points is normal special summon to your field, you can add 1 monster from your graveyard to your hand with 1300 attack and or defense points. You contribute 1 monster with 1300 and or 1300 defense points from your hand or field. If you do, gain life points and inflict damage to your opponent equal to them. So the extra deck is pretty much standard. The only one I'm going to get to is the one that I customized, and that's going to be Pseudo Code Talker. So you guys should be aware. It requires 3 effect monsters. It's a very powerful card. And any monster this card points to, like if this card points to a monster, this card, and including this card, so in the monsters this card points to, they gain 2,300 for each monster pointed by this card. Once per turn, during your main phase, you can special summon 2 monsters from your graveyard. If you do, your opponent can special summon any number of monsters from the graveyard. Once per turn, you can remove this card's left or right link monster. If you do, any time a monster you control battles an opponent's monster, it can inflict double the battle damage. It also gains piercing while attacking a defense position monster. And this should be the deck profile. Again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to check for more upcoming content later in the future. Be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.